Hi everyone, my name is Katie, and today I'll be presenting on transmissible spongiform encephalopathies, or TSEs. They are rare but fatal brain diseases caused by infectious proteins called prions. Transmissible spongiform encephalopathies, or TSEs, are a group of rare but fatal brain disorders that affect both humans and animals. Unlike diseases caused by bacteria or viruses, TSEs come from prions, infectious, misfolded proteins that contain no DNA or RNA. The abnormal prion protein, known as PRPSC, causes normal proteins in the brain to change shape and misfold as well, creating a chain reaction that destroys healthy brain tissue. Prions are extremely resistant to heat, radiation, and disinfectants, which make them especially difficult to eliminate. As the disease progresses, the brain develops sponge-like holes, which is how this group of diseases got its name, spongiform. The incubation period for TSEs is unusually long. In many cases, symptoms may not appear for 5 to 20 years after infection. This slow progression allows the disease to silently damage the brain for years before signs become obvious, making diagnosis and control more challenging. I showed a diagram here showing that you could have been exposed to it in 2005 and might not even know about it until this year, which is terrifying. TSEs can be transmitted through eating contaminated meat, medical procedures using infected instruments, or inherited gene mutations. They're very rare, less than 1 case per million people each year. The signs and symptoms of TSE are severe and always progressive. Early symptoms can include memory loss, difficulty concentrating, and changes in personality or mood. As the disease progresses after the onset of clinical symptoms, brain damage rapidly leads to loss of coordination, tremors, vision problems, uncontrollable muscle movements, and ultimately death, typically within months to a few years. There are several types of TSEs found in humans and animals. In humans, Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease is the most common form. And there's actually a few different variants of that. There's sporadic, variant, familial, iatrogenic, which is from a medical introduction. While Gerstmann, Straussler, Schneiker syndrome, and fatal familial insomnia are inherited. Kuru, a historical example, once spread among tribes in Papua New Guinea through ritual cannibalism, but has since disappeared. And here I didn't add any bullet points because this is more of a add-on. But in animals, scrapie affects sheep and goats. Bovine spongiform encephalopathy, also known as mad cow disease, strikes cattle, and chronic wasting disease spreads among deer and elk in North America. All of these conditions share the same underlying prion mechanism that damages the brain in humans. Unfortunately, there is no effective treatment for TSEs. Because prions resist nearly all conventional sterilization methods and medications, doctors can only provide supportive care to manage symptoms. Some experimental drugs, such as quinacrine and pentosan polysulfate, were both investigated as possible treatments for prion diseases. Quinacrine was thought to stabilize normal prion proteins and prevent their conversion, while pentosan polysulfate aimed to block prion spread between cells. However, neither drug proved clinically effective, largely because they don't cross the blood-brain barrier and can't reverse existing brain damage once symptoms begin. The most important step in controlling prion diseases is prevention. Avoiding exposure to infected tissue is key. This includes monitoring and regulating animal feed, screening livestock for bovine spongiform encephalopathy, properly sterilizing surgical instruments that come in contact with brain or spinal tissue, and providing genetic counseling for families affected by hereditary forms. These measures have helped reduce new cases of variant Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease worldwide. TSEs primarily affect the central nervous system, including the brain and spinal cord, though it's mostly the brain. As neurons die, the brain takes on a spongy appearance, leading to severe neurological decline. Like I said before, patients can lose coordination, communication ability, and eventually all basic functions. In conclusion, transmissible spongiform encephalopathies are among the most unusual and devastating diseases known to medicine. They challenge our understanding of infection because they're caused by proteins, not living organisms. Although there is no cure, studying TSCs has expanded our knowledge of how proteins influence brain health. Through careful prevention and continued research, we can limit their impact and protect both humans and animals from these silent, fatal diseases. I gathered my information from reputable sources, including the CDC, NIH, and WHO, among a few others. Thank you for listening.